When I was 13 years old, my history teacher at school decided to retire. Apparently it was nothing to do with me. And as a retirement present to himself, he decided to buy a Ford Racing Puma. I thought this was amazing, and obviously my first question to him was he going to get the optional limited slip diff? Apparently only 75 people actually did out of the 500 Pumas that were built. He thought this was slightly bizarre, given that I couldn't remember which of Henry VIII's Catherines was beheaded and which survived, but he said yes, he was getting the limited slip diff. My word, this history teacher went up in my estimation no end. My question is, if I was 13 years old today and my history teacher said I'm getting a Puma ST with the performance pack and the optional limited slip diff, would that make me think they were cool? Should it make me think they're cool? Let's find out. It has certainly got all the right badges to impress. For a start, we've got these Recaro seats, which are familiar to anyone that's been in a hot Ford recently. I always think they look quite bulky, but they certainly hold you very well. The bolsters, both up here and down here by my thighs, really do hold you very well. Then there are the Michelin Pilot Sport 4S tyres, a really performance-orientated tyre, something you'd expect to see certainly on something much more expensive, really. And they were born out of the old Michelin Supersports. They struggled a bit, I would say, in the cold and wet of today, even snow, but generally a very good tyre. Back in here we've also got the 10-speaker B&O sound system, which is excellent. It's really good for a little car like this. You wouldn't expect to find a stereo this good in something like this, but ace.
Of course, the Puma ST does provide its own aural entertainment via its 3-pot engine, and I think it sounds fantastic. In fact, talking of the engine, we've got slightly ahead of ourselves in this review, so let's cover the basics. Just like the original Puma, here's a photo for the youngsters among you, this new one is based on a Fiesta, specifically the current ST, which is a very good thing indeed. That means under the bonnet is a 1.5 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine, putting out 197 brake horsepower and 236 pounds-foot of torque. That's slightly more torque than the Fiesta to help compensate for it being 96 kilos heavier at 1,358 kilos. The 0-62 mile/hour time is just a couple of tenths down at 6.7 seconds, and the top speed is only 7 miles an hour slower at 137 miles an hour. Visually, there are very few changes over a standard Puma. The ride height is 10mm lower, there is a small chin spoiler at the front, and a corresponding roof spoiler at the rear. This paint is the optional mean green, by the way. Personally, I think there is something about the size of the grille and the perched position of the headlights that looks rather awkward. However, I don't mind the rear though, and I do approve of the exhausts.
Nothing fake about the slash-ended stainless steel pipes poking out the back of this. I love the sound of a 3-cylinder.
I also love the fact it's got 3 pedals.
It is so nice having a manual gearbox. It's not the greatest shift in the world. It's distinctly Ford, actually. I think if you were blindfolded and put in the car, then you would instinctively know that this is a Ford gearbox. I also love the fact that it looks like it's come out of a Sierra. The rest of the car, nice and modern. Gear shift, very old-fashioned.
With the performance pack that adds the Quaife limited slip diff, the Puma ST costs £29,500, which is about £5,000 more than a similarly spec'd Fiesta ST3. It really does come very well spec'd though, with LED headlights, adaptive cruise control, Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, heated windscreen, heated seats, heated steering wheel. In fact, it's got just about every convenience you could wish for. And talking of controlling the temperature, it's time I had a wander around in the snow again.
Given that you're going to buy a Puma ST rather than a Fiesta ST because of practicality, I thought we should have a chat about practicality. Starting with getting in and out. Obviously this is just a little bit higher up than a Fiesta, so ingress and egress is just a little bit easier. Moving on to the back seats. Now obviously I'm sitting behind myself and I am quite tall, but well, I can fit in, legroom's not enormous, and if I want to look at the camera, well, I can't see you, I can only talk at you, but there we are. The big win, however, with the Puma ST is around the back, because you see, in a Fiesta ST you get 292 litres of boot space. With this, you get a whopping 456 litres of boot space and get the amazing 80 litre mega box down there, which you can chuck all your muddy trainers in and then sluice out afterwards, take the plug out and clean it out. You might think, well, why not just get a Focus ST? Well, that only has 375 litres of boot space and it's bigger and heavier and less economical. So really, Puma ST for the practicality win. Now, whilst I get back into the car, here's an interesting fact about the canal and the Ford Racing Puma.
You see, this particular waterway is the Grand Union Canal, and if you followed it north from this particular lock, you would reach the outskirts of Daventry, and that is where Tickford had a factory in which it assembled the Ford Racing Puma. If you follow this same canal south, then you'll find yourself amongst the concrete cows of Milton Keynes. That is where Tickford developed the Ford Focus RS.
You see, you knew there was a reason that we were parked next to a canal, didn't you? I wouldn't let you down. We've got various modes in here and you can toggle quickly between sport and normal by using the big S button on the wheel here. To match this yellow mode, you've got the mode here, but to be honest, sport and normal are all you really want. Track feels like it's overdoing it, and eco, well, just not as much fun.
What's more, from my experience, it seems like 40 mpg is perfectly achievable even without using eco mode.
The steering is 25% quicker than a standard Puma, which is an awful lot. It can feel arguably too quick when you first get into it. I had the same feeling when I drove the Fiesta ST. You have to have calm hands. You do get used to it, and actually it's full of feel. It's really easy to work with the steering, and the limb slip diff, it's not too aggressive, so again you can meter out that traction. It's really noticeable on a day like today where there really isn't a lot of grip on the roads.
That direct steering certainly makes the Puma feel quite small, and you do feel like you can chuck it around quite easily. The grippy front end also means you can easily adjust the angle of the rear in a corner with a lift of the throttle or a touch of trail braking.
The car sits on passive dampers, so inevitably there's going to be some sort of compromise in terms of the way that they're set up. The modes in here change steering and throttle response and things like that, but they don't change the ride of the car. But although it's a little bobbly to start with, it's certainly not uncomfortable.
In order to try to improve the ride comfort compared to the Fiesta ST while still retaining roll control, Ford put a lot of work into the Hitachi dampers with a new valve that opens when subjected to small high-frequency inputs to give it more sensitivity over rough tarmac.
Tip it into a corner and you do feel obviously like you're that much higher up, a bit more sort of teetering perhaps through the corner, certainly on a day like this where the roll stiffness is increased because we've got less grip. Again, you can play with the throttle, and it's just such an enthusiastic little engine. 200 brake horsepower might not be much, but you can enjoy revving it out. Is then this new Puma ST as cool as the old Ford Racing Puma? No, it's not. It just can't be. It doesn't look good enough to be as cool. But is it a disgrace to the ST badge? No, certainly not that either. If you want the added practicality, if you would love a Fiesta ST, but you just can't, it doesn't fit into your life, then a Puma ST, yeah, is very well worth considering. It does put a smile on your face.